And for that, where's this? Let's get rid of this terminal. Let's get a terminal going. We currently have backend and VMware here, so we're going to need a React application. How we're going to do that is friendly create React app, and we will name this as the end. Now we give it a little bit of time while it gets configured. And while I'm doing that, let me quickly give you an overview of what we are going to be going on with. We are going to need basically an application where we can see what animes are listed under that exact name. And we will also need something that gives us the exact, the exact anime selected and then the description, photo, and everything. So we need an exact page for that also. And apart from that, we'll need components. For the components, what we'll need is, let's see, we'll need a API calling component. We will need, no, actually, that will be the API. So we'll make an anime API.js file for that. For the components, we'll need a search bar, an anime card where the animes will be shown, and the loading error message. And oh yeah, we also need to work on the pagination. So those are a few things that we need to work out on. Then there also has to be a home page, and the home page has to be designed for that too. That home page will actually keep everything working, and that would also be a component on these. But the home page should actually go in pages. So we'll need a home page for showing everything, all these animes, and we'll need a details page, which will be basically for the detail of a particular selected anime. So let's start. Let's actually start with what will we be needing. So we do this, we go into Frontend. And let's start with the API first. We create a folder and we will put API in it. And we need to basically create a new file and give us anime API. Now, I want you to bear in mind the first thing, no caps required. But if there is something other than that there, but the API is a singular word that is separate from anime. So you need to capitalize the first bit of that. I always need to do that. So let's create anime API.js. And that should be inside SRC, inside API. So we first of all need something that is very important. We will need Axios. And basically Axios will take care of all the routing. It will take care of all the HTTP requests. It makes life a hell lot more easier. So let's get this going. Then we need to define base URL. And this is a very important thing to do. And inside that base URL, we have to put the URL which we were using earlier for our exposure with backend. That is going to be 8,000 /API. Now, in case of production, you need to keep all of this as an environmental variable instead, and then call it from there. And then what you need inside this is the exact, wherever you have hosted your backend, that exact, basically whoever hosts it for you, they will create a link for you, and then you need that link in here. And then everything else will be carried on. But for now, we are on local, so we will do this. We will need an async function, and we will name it search anime. for parameters of search anime, we will be sending the query from the page. Why did we do this? This is something that I need to explain a little bit. Think about this, right? We created this something of our API. Let this value be this exact value right here. At the end of all of this slash API slash anime slash search slash question mark. Okay. And Q was our query. After we do all of this, right? So, anime equal to something. That's the remove that. We had and equal to, let's say, what's the page to. This is just an example just to make you understand what is going to happen here. So we need to process these two things while we're sending. So sorry. We need to send the response in here, okay? That response will be constant. And we need to wait for Axis to basically get anything of the sort. And we need to make sure that we have make sure to put all of this inside this. Close it here. Now, inside this, I'm saying that I need the API base URL here. Okay. Once I have the API base URL here, then you have anime. Then you had search. And this is going to be your base query. The next thing that you're going to be having is basically the parameters, which will be the queue. Sorry, the queue, which is query. And along with the query, you will also need the page, which will be the page. And this should send in the query on the page. Let's remove the reference page. And now we need a command here. And we need to end the access. So we need to end the access request. Yeah. Once we have done that, we need to return the response.data. So what we're doing is we are returning the JSON data from Django, and then we are ending the search with the function. This is the end of the search request. We also need to make sure that we export another async function, and that is for the get anime details. Sorry, just a detail. We just need to get that, and then anime ID is needed. Make sure that this is capital always whenever you're writing it. Same goes for this nomenclature right here that I was talking about. And once you have done this, you have to make sure that your response that has to be sent back is going to be basically awaiting for axios.get. And we have to send it exactly at API base URL. And we gotta make sure that it goes to /anime, and that's where it is, right? So we need to now put inside here now. So this was the URL. Now you need to put the ID here and close it. Show you add a backslash, and that should be your response right there. Now you basically return the response data. Okay. these two functions should be able to cover everything that we need. Now we're done with our API. We need to make the components. So let's make another folder. Um, Okay. And now inside the components, we need the first one, which is mar.js. Okay. And what we need to do is we will put function search bar like this, and this. Now, this is an important part. We are basically inside this putting query. Search bar will need a query get query and then on search bar. So you need this for everything to work. And then what does this function do? It does nothing but return. Does it return? We need it to be a form that it will return class name. And let's name it search bar. And let's remember this in our notes because this is how you will work with the CSS. And let's get on submit. On submit, we do on search. This on search will be passed as a prop, right? So when the form is set, we have to set on search whenever we submit the form. Okay. And we have to close the form. Inside this form, though, we need to create an input field. This input field should have type should be text. It should have the values. Shall value to this, and inside it will be the value of query. On change, we want basically an event trigger. And this event should basically set the query outside to some sort of event dot target dot value. When I do this is very important. Whatever is going outside has to change the event inside. So we wrote something, right? So yeah, at the same time, the set query is going to change the query outside to this value, exact value that we are changing inside. And we will pass it as a prop. Prop passing is one of the most important things that you need to learn for React. So we want to do search anime, comma, and let's say for example, Naru. Yeah, that should be good enough for someone to understand what is happening here, right? So let's close it. There goes the yield. Let's come here, keep it clean. We will need now a button. And what the button is basically doing is let's read a type that we and then but right submit. Okay. Search. This should be able to do everything. And when you click this exact button, it does sense tells the eventual rate to the that should cover your form. Make sure that you return the close statement and make sure that whenever you make this, you export it as export before search bar and choose a tab. That should cover everything. Let's come here just in case we want to make sure that everything is working right. And when all of this is doing, this is always a good practice to Let's just turn it off. We don't need it right now, right? It's just using some, okay, resources that we don't want it to use. And this is done, right? So this will be our search bar right here. And we will use the search bar wherever we please. But this search bar right now is not that important. This is just a part, it's just a component of the entire application. And we have to build more components like this. So let's make the animate card now. This is where the fun starts. So first of all, we need to import that. Need a React router DOM without reloading, right? So we need link. So this basically means that React router DOM. Yeah. This should now basically tell that whatever happens on the same page. Don't reload the code again. Okay. And that's very important for us while what we are doing. So let's get on to the function. We need to create an anime card function. Okay. What we're passing inside it is an anime object. Be some sort of, data that has inside it that we want to display. So we first need the image URL inside it. And that will be anime dot images question mark. I'll be asking it, is it dot jpg question mark dot image URL. Okay, URL. This is what we need. Does the image exist? Is it JPG? So the safety is the anime poster image URL. So we make sure that we have the correct URL and correct image formatting to send. And now we need a title. While we have, we actually don't need to name it with. Just realize that. Just get rid of this. Yep. Now we need a title. Anime dot title. And we saw that the title in English was like this. This is all in documentations. Make sure that you always get the documentation. So some titles in Gcon do not have an English title, right? So we want, if they have an English title, show the title in English. If they don't, just show the normal title. It's okay. Something to show all this. Now we get the score. That is basically when we have a score. And if they don't have a score, then we just show an name. Now we get the next thing, which will be episodes. Sorry. We get anime dot episodes. If it knows about, very well. If it doesn't know about it, let's write NA. This is totally okay. And then let's get to type, which is equal to the anime dots. Right? If we don't know anything about it, let's give it a name. And so sure. Yep. Now we have everything that we need. Now we need to get for return. Sorry. We need a return statement to be written. And we need to create an anime card. So first of all, we have a link that we have to display. So we put its name equal to anime card. And who are we sending it to? We're sending it to slash anime slash dot anime dot mal ID. This is important because this tells you that if you click on here, this is where I should go. And we need to close it. The link will now be made. Inside this link, we have to show an image, which will basically be the image URL, I think, yeah. The image, let me this right here, URL. And you also will need an alternate to that. And the alternate will be your title. Let's say if you do not have the image URL, then just show the title rather than itself. And after you do that, you will need a div basically. And let's give it some name that we can honor. Yes, let's give it anime card content as a name. And let's close this div. And inside this div, we want to create, first of all, the title of the anime. Okay. We had the title. We need to put the score. Small trick. Let's say you do this, right? And then you select and you paste. That's slow, right? So what itself you can do is Control C, Control V, valid, right? So on this line, click anywhere and then this place, Control V, Control C, Control V. I just copy that line itself along with the spaces that were behind it. So always remember that it's gonna be in the same exact space. Now after the score, you want to get the episodes, which I think we have in small, right? So yeah. And because you're using this, let's do it like this. And then let's like this. Looks better. Oh, not the. We want to put here. And now we want to put light in here. Yeah. And the tree will be small. That it will be exactly like this. Close the division. Space this. Close the wing. Close it here. And then you put export default anime card. Okay. So why do we put this here, right? So whenever we basically import this function, right? So we tell it that, okay, if this function is being called, make sure that you're exporting this function somewhere. So this is just to basically tells that whichever page is calling this function, it should be able to see the basic thing. Okay. If I remove this from here, it will not be able to go there. So if you look at the anime API.js, you basically does not have the export function. So it lives here basically. You cannot take it out and put it somewhere in between something. We want this code to be returned and to be displayed as an HTML. So that's why we need to put that export default search bar there. And we also need to make something for loading right? So let's put it as loading.js. Loading.js will not be difficult. It will be function and loading. We do not need any parameters for this exactly. And if it is loading, we just want to make sure that we are returning something like paragraph. We may need to give this some sort of CSS, right? So let's see in the class name. We will target the class name, and then using that, we will make the CSS loading anime dot dot. Okay, that should do it. Let's close it here. Make sure that we do export default loading and do the spacing. Now, along with loading, we also will be needing a error message or JS. This is for the error. So let's define a function error message dot JS. Sorry. Let's say that there is some sort of there's some sort of message that comes in here. And what are we expecting here? Let's see. We basically want to, did I put a return statement there? Let me read it. We basically want to return. Now, there's also another way of writing returns. You don't have to write like this exactly. You can just simply, for one-liners, put it like this: class name equal to error message, and close it. And then you put message, close this, and basically close it up. Export default error message. Okay. So that would basically make it hard. I feel like there's a problem here, yeah. Looking at our loading, we have a statement. Yes, we do have. Did we give, a search bar, we may give it name, yeah, perfect. And we give it an error message here. Wait. That should take care of everything. Are we missing something? I think we're missing the pagination. Yes. We need to take care of the pagination also. So what we will do is we will define a function, pagination. And now the pagination needs, where are we right now? Current page, comma. Does it have a next page, comma? What happens on page change? This is what we'll be needing. And we just going to return basically. This should be covering everything, right? So it has to be an if. And we'll get the class name of pagination. And that should basically cover it. Considering that we will also need something like a button, right? So we need a button. Inside this button, we will have an on click. Anyway, well, we're saying that if it is split, then we don't have an event name, right? So on page change, we will call that and we'll run page -1. What's the current page is, so we will put it as -1. So this happens like this. And we need to make sure that we are disabling And current current page is less than or equal to 1. So current page is less than or equal to 1 should be basically disabling. But and let's do that. We need to name this something. So previous is a nice name for this, right? Yeah, previous is a nice name for that. Now, writing it like this is also good, but we should always write it like this so as it's easier to read. Let's see. We are at this point, right? So we also need to create another button now, right here. And that button is going to be, so on click, we want to do current page +1. And we want to make sure that if that page has next page is false, we don't want to do it. And we need to make sure that that is named as next. Okay. Between these buttons, we need to basically put something that tells that this is basically that exact page, right? So we just span detail page, current page. So you could have just put current page also. That should be also the same thing. It's not a big difference if you make in both of the ways. It should not break anything. So that should be the entire code here. Now let's export the for page generation. Perfect. We don't have any problem in any of our components. Everything is green, which means that everything is good. That should cover all the components that we are going to basically need, right? Yeah, I think it should. Nothing else would be needed really. Yeah, loading, pagination, search bar, and anime card. So yeah, this would be the end for this video. The next time we meet, we will be getting our pages ready, right? So we need to make pages and we need to get pages and we also need to make an app.js file, which brings all those pages together. And after that, I guess in the same video, we'll try to make the CSS also. And once that is done, we should be able to test our front end, I guess, if all our components are correct and we do not need a debugging session. All right, folks, have a nice day. See you next time.